So I would say it's basically impossible for a fragrance brand to release nothing but A+, 10 out of 10 fragrances. But with these 10 here, they get pretty close. Today we're going to be looking at 10 fragrances that consistently crush it. These hit it out of the park just about every single time. Now, I'm not saying that I like every single fragrance from each brand here. A couple brands in here, I've smelled some stuff that I maybe wasn't crazy for, but these definitely have a much higher success rate than a lot of other brands out there, at least for me. Of course, this is only 10 designer brands. There are many, many more brands, a lot of which maybe I and you would only own a couple of fragrances from, so it can be hard to weigh in on that front. These brands here are all brands that I have multiple fragrances from, and in my opinion, they get it right just about every time. This video was actually requested by one of my channel members in our group chat, Mr. J. I want to thank you for throwing this one out here. I thought it was a great idea, and so shout out to you. If you want to become a channel member and get some access to some cool stuff, hit the join button down below. And actually, there was a couple bigger brands that I was thinking about when doing this, brands that I would say the majority of men have in their collection or have smelled before, that ended up not making it in here because while they have some hits, while they have some best sellers, they also have a lot of stuff that I don't care for, so they didn't make it. Think of this like a buying guide here. These 10 for me are all brands that just haven't let me down. If you're looking to buy a new fragrance, if you're just getting started and you want to get into it here with at least a little bit of a lower risk factor, check out any of the fragrances from these brands. I'll give you a few examples as we go, but let's just dive right into it. And actually, before we dive in, there will be links to all the fragrances that I reference in this video down below in the description, so you can pick them up at a discount. And the Fragrance Net 35% off link will also be down there as well. You can click that to always automatically apply the best and current discount possible. Now that we got that out of the way, for real this time, let's get it. So first up, we have the iconic brand of Dior. Had to put them in here. While they are somewhat controversial because of their Sauvage lineup, right? When that's brought up, it triggers the people who only love perfume as an art and they hate compliments. So there's a controversy there. But for me, aside from the Sauvage line, they have a lot of great things from almost the entire Dior Homme line. I think this line is just revolutionary. You could go over to their more La Collection line, the more expensive stuff, Feb de Lisieux, that sort of thing. They have a lot of amazing fragrances over there, although I haven't smelled as many. You could go there, a lot of great ones. There's Dior Higher Energy. There's even the new Dior Homme Sport 2021 I really like. So there's a lot of great things that Dior has done. And while not everyone loves their kind of main focal point, which is, of course, Sauvage, they have a lot of other great stuff you can choose from as well. I think they consistently really release some amazing stuff. And yeah, I have to admit, I had a change of mind. Even the new Sauvage Elixir is also really good. Next up, we have the brand of Montblanc. So this is a designer brand that typically kind of falls in that mid-range price. So with Dior, it's high-end designer pricing here. You're talking $100 at a minimum a lot of times. If you're looking at a Dior, expect to be paying $100. So that's definitely higher end designer level for sure. Montblanc typically is in the $35 up to $50 range, depending on what you get. Some examples, of course, is this one right here, Explore, the Creed Aventus clone. There's a very popular Montblanc Individuel. There's the Legend line. That's something that a lot of people are very familiar with. That one really kind of set them off. And of course, they have done a lot of mini flankers from that as well. Their Star Walker, which is phenomenal for the price. That one is probably the cheapest at about $20, is discontinued, but you can still pick it up. So they have a lot of great stuff. Now, Montblanc is a great place to start if you are on that budget. So, Dior, it can be hard to dive into if you're just getting started. You may look at that price tag and think that's insane. I know I did when I was first starting out. So I would suggest check out some Montblanc. I've done a lot of videos on a whole bunch of different Montblanc fragrances on the channel, but I just kind of gave you a nice idea there, a couple examples. But I think they consistently put out some nice stuff. Montblanc Individuel Tonic, that sucked. Not every brand is going to have a 100% success rate, but they're close. And at the price point, I can't complain. Up next, we have another affordable brand. This is the brand of Azzaro. So this is another one that kind of mid-range to lower mid-range. somewhere around in there, depending on what you get. So for me, an example that I thought of right away was Visit. Now this one is cheapy range, actually. So I guess it could go from cheapy to mid-range, kind of a bit of a spread. This one's typically around $20, $25. To me, that's pretty darn cheap. And it is incredible. It's a woody, spicy fragrance for men that's very masculine, very sexy, very versatile. They also have the Azzaro Pour Homme line. The original is an aromatic fougere barbershop style scent. They have Azzaro Pour Homme Intense, which I think is phenomenal. Typically falls around $40-ish when in stock. It does go out of stock often because it's kind of a hot topic. And of course, a big one here that I almost forgot about. It's kind of actually hard to reverse engineer this, thinking of the brand first instead of the individual fragrances, but Azzaro Wanted, right? The whole line, for the most part, is very, very well known, very highly regarded. I would say the only one that doesn't get any love is Tonic, but the original is still going strong. Wanted by Night is absolutely slaughtering it like crazy, and the new Most Wanted is starting to kind of build up a name for itself. So yeah, I think Azzaro is another great brand that really does hold a lot of market share in that mid-range pricing. There's a lot of competitive fragrances in there in that price range because that's kind of the sweet spot, $30 to $50. It's kind of just, affordable. It's a step above a cheapie, but also not to the extreme of a super expensive fragrance, so it's kind of a nice spot to be, and they do a great job. Next up, we have the brand of Bentley, another one that's kind of lower mid-range to mid-range, depending on what you get. Some maybe cheapy as well, but, just to throw out some. Really, the entire Bentley for Men line is just phenomenal, head over heels good. Everything from this original EDT, which smells just heavenly, to the Intense, which is divisive, to Absolute, which is another woody, spicy, fantastic scent. Even Black Edition is a nice, fresher, violet scent. They have it all in this line, and all of these are within that $30 to $40 range when in stock. I believe the one that would get the most expensive is Bentley for Men Intense, just because it's so heavily talked about. Prices will go up on that, but still affordable. They have Bentley Momentum. There's a few in there. Momentum Intense is one I really enjoy. It kind of smells like CH Men. They've got a lot of others as well. I'm probably skipping over a few, but I think this brand is heavily slept on outside of the community, right? In the community, of course, they get hyped, but I think outside of the community, people are going to be looking at the glamorous Dior and Chanel and Yves Saint Laurent, all these other big brands, and even though Bentley obviously makes amazing, luxurious vehicles, I think still people might think, that may be cheap and maybe a dumb fragrance. They're not. These are very good. Another great one in that mid-range price. So this next one is not a designer brand, or maybe it is to you. To me, I really don't care. I just kind of like to feature their fragrances. I don't like to get into the niche versus designer debate. It technically is more niche than designer, but again, for me, I just like to feature them. It's Guerlain. So the whole L'Homme line, absolutely incredible, breathtaking fragrances, kind of hard to get right now. I've been keeping an eye out, but the EDP still sold out. Extreme, Cool, all sold out. The only one that you can get consistently on discounters is the EDT, which is a great option, but this line has been it's been hard to get. It's been out of stock a lot. Great fragrances. I love them. All of them in this L'Homme line are beautiful. Now you could go over to some of their much more expensive fragrances like Spear 2 Double Vanille. They've got Tonka Imperial. They've got an Iris one. I'm trying to think. I don't have very many of those. But they have some just mind-blowing fragrances. There's so many. I haven't even scratched the surface, but these L'Hommes are definitely more designer level in terms of their pricing. Whether or not you want to use that to determine your designer versus niche is up to you. All I'm saying is I wanted to include them because they have some great pickups for a good price when they're in stock. Next up, we have the brand of Versace. So this one was a no-brainer, even though it got pushed down a little bit lower here. It's not in order, just ended up kind of where it ended up here. But it's a brand that I would say probably has one of the best holds on the mid-range pricing. So we've talked about Bentley, Azzaro, Montblanc, all of those are really good, but I would say Versace. They've really been in the game. They're bigger than some of these other brands, and they have, to me, almost the tightest hold on this price range of about $50. So kind of mid-range, some upper mid-range. Just to name out a few, we've got the new Eros Parfum, which I absolutely love. Brings me back to the days starting out is what it is. kind of a guilty pleasure, a little bit, but it's definitely the most smooth, the most well-refined, the most well-thought-out, the highest quality, the creamiest Eros flanker out of all of them. I mean, I think this is amazing stuff. I love it. You know, it's not a mature scent, but it's more mature than the others, and I like it. There's Dylan Blue, big fan. There's Versace Signature or Pour Homme, huge fan of that one. Versace Man and Man Eau Fresh, which I especially like Man Eau Fresh. Of course, you guys know them. They have a lot of amazing fragrances in this price range, and they are incredible. Next up, we have good old Giorgio Armani. Do I really have to list off any for them? Profumo, Acqua di Gio Profumo, Armani Code Absolute, Armani Code Profumo. We've got, I guess you could say Stronger With You, even though those are Emporio Armani, whether you want to link those up or not. And those are a bit more divisive. Anyway, the point is Profumo, Profondo, the Armani Code line, all the new flankers, they are absolutely crushing it. This is another brand that is, you know, high-end designer pricing. You're looking at basically $100, maybe a little bit less depending on the bottle size, but that's just kind of how they are across the board. But they are well worth it, in my opinion. They have some amazing fragrances, and they are a leader for a reason. And also, it's worth noting that I really don't think I can recall smelling an Armani fragrance that I haven't liked. And of course, we had to talk about this one. It had to be in here at some point, right? Good old Chanel. This one is Egoiste. They have Bleu de Chanel, top-notch fragrances. Platinum Egoiste, beautiful. Pour Monsieur, nice classics. They've got the whole Allure Homme line, which, oh, I love it so much. The original Extreme Edition Blanche, Cologne, Sport. They've got just some top-notch, best-selling, out-of-this-world, best men fragrances ever. Seriously, they've got some amazing stuff. I picked up Egoiste just to throw out something a little bit different. Even this, you know, something that doesn't get talked about anymore, still has this magical just smell about it. It has a sparkle, this kind of brightness, even though it's a woody, warm, spicy, masculine, kind of traditional scent. Just nothing but stunners, amazing fragrances from Chanel. Fantastic brand, and obviously high-end designer pricing for sure. $100 at a minimum. Unless you're buying fakes. If you buy fakes of any of these, you can get well under $100, but we're talking about the real deal here, obviously. Second to last brand, we've got the brand of Prada. So, you know, there was Ocean, and at first I didn't like Ocean, Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. Now I do. So from there, I don't think I've smelled a fragrance that I haven't liked from Prada. And if I have, maybe that's one. But everything else to me are top-notch from the entire Prada L'Homme line, the newly discontinued, very sad Prada L'Homme Intense. There's, of course, the original. There's the Ambers, Amber, and Amber Intense, and the whole Luna Rossa line, like Carbon. Nothing but great scents. Now, there are differing price ranges within this brand. Not all brands are like this. You know, like Armani, Chanel, they're all expensive. With Prada, sometimes you can get stuff like Carbon, which is about $50 in a healthy in-stock market, whereas in the same market, Prada L'Homme could be, you know, $65, $70, $80. So there's a little bit of a shift between the different lines here. You can go from mid-range to kind of upper mid-range, but it's kind of where they fall. All great scents. They have the soapy, clean, masculine smell technique down to a science here. They're a great brand that you have to own in your collection. And last up, you're probably wondering where this brand was. Of course, I wasn't going to forget about it. Yves Saint Laurent, right? Why eau de parfum? Why parfum? Of course, the entire La Nuit and L'Homme lines. Here's the newest, latest, and greatest Blue Electric. I mean, this brand, they crush it. They're right up there with Armani. Whenever I think about Yves Saint Laurent, I think about Armani. Whenever I think about Armani, I think about Yves Saint Laurent. They're just kind of right there where their pricing structure is similar. They're not quite to this just like super prestigious monopoly level of Dior and Chanel, but they're like right there. That's kind of what I think about. Chanel, Armani, and YSL go hand in hand. Kind of like Dior and Chanel go hand in hand. They're all competitors, but you know what? They all create some amazing fragrances. So you're probably wondering, what brands did I think about and decided not to put in? Well, I'll tell you a couple of them. First of all, I forgot Tom Ford. Not on purpose, actually. That was an accident. I guess I could have put Tom Ford in here. Would have meant I would have had to take something out. I just looked back here and I realized, oh, people are probably going to be wondering about Tom Ford. definitely a brand that I don't think I've disliked anything from. They're expensive, but they're also incredibly amazing fragrances. Tom Ford, the creative director, is talented for sure, and all the perfumers they work with. So Tom Ford is one that I did forget, but could be in here. The ones I didn't want to put in here, Dolce & Gabbana. So this is tough, right? Because you may think of Dolce & Gabbana the one. And trust me, I did too. But then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, besides the one and Light Blue Forever and maybe Light Blue Intense, what other Dolce & Gabbana fragrances do I love? That gives me 3, and 3's being generous. Right now, really, it's kind of 2, you know. Light Blue Forever, I think, is top-notch. Eau Intense, it doesn't blow me away. Dolce & Gabbana the one, Eau de Parfum, Eau de Toilette, kind of the same thing. That still blows me away. But other than that, what else do they have? A lot of their stuff are the one flankers, which are kind of a little bit boring and discontinued, and a whole bunch of light blue fragrances, which suck. So I decided to not let, a couple fragrances that I really love drag a whole brand into this video when they have some stuff that I'm just not a fan of. Another brand that I thought of was Paco Rabanne. So yeah, Invictus Aqua 2016, I've said it before, it's a big love of mine. I love that one in the summertime, but other than that, there's really nothing. That one's discontinued. So is 1 Million Privé, which would definitely give them an edge, but now it's discontinued. The regular Invictus Aqua 2018, the original 1 Million, not a whole lot of love from that brand for me. Now, Invictus Victory was really good, but again, that's just kind of one. I just couldn't drag them in. Even though they're a huge brand like Dolce & Gabbana, I just couldn't do it. Carolina Herrera, they have a lot of nice stuff at affordable prices, mid-range when you can, but kind of the same thing. While there are a few that I do enjoy quite a bit, it was going up against these here, and these are hard to compete with. I'm sure if I sat around, I could think of many more brands that almost could have made it in, but didn't. But you guys get the idea. 10 brands that never disappoint. They never let me down. I will provide links to all the fragrances that I briefly mentioned here in this video, along with just all of the brands, I guess, in general, so you can click through and see what brands I chose. But this is kind of it. If you want to pick them up, use that link down below for 35% off FragranceNet. That will automatically always apply the best discount for you. I want to hear from you. What are the brands that never disappoint you? Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.